The evening. We are having Giovanni go against Corey, and I want to tell you what teams they're playing so badly, but
we're going to wait till we load in, and just so we can all see them at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing that I want to mention for any tournament goers out there that are interested in maybe going to a tournament, getting a good night's sleep and getting a breakfast and drinking some water and all those things really do help your mind function properly. Have you ever went to a tournament and you went on tilt because maybe you didn't take care of yourself properly?
Oh, actually, I have a great story about this. I was out in Los Angeles, which is where I met Gio for an internship, doing some work out there. But the weekend I came back, on the Saturday, there was a mid-season showdown out in Ottawa, which isn't that far out. And I didn't want to miss this for the world.
Right.
But I ended work on the Friday and had to play an event on the Saturday. So I took the red-eye flight from Los Angeles and was very tired. Did not play as well as I was hoping for. But as we can see, these guys are shaking hands. They're ready to play. They're both smiling. They both have definitely heard of each other, and they're both just ready to go into this.
I love the sportsmanship. That's always important when you're at a tournament. Make sure to respect your opponent.
And we can see Gio going by Omega Gio, loading up. So we're watching from Corey's point of view. And here we can see the teams. Corey on the left, also known as Invidious VGC, playing Aerodactyl, Tapu Lele, Kartana, Garchomp, Arcanine, and as we predicted, Snorlax.
Very good prediction there. And of course, we have Gio. And Gio has some interesting Pokemon for an EV team, at least as far as I have seen. However, we have the usual staples, Eevee, Clefairy. We also have Crocodile. We also have Tapu Fini, Salazzle, which is very interesting. And also, we have Whimsicott.
Yeah.
Now, Salazzle is there certainly for the possible fake-out option.
Yeah, so Gio's team actually reminds me a lot of Sajin Park's team from the recent Korean Nationals event, where actually 5 of the 6 Pokemon are the same. The only difference being Gio is opting for Salazzle instead of Sajin's Incineroar. But both of these Pokemon have access to Fake Out, and they're both fire types. So they must be fulfilling a pretty similar role. Salazzle opting to be a bit faster and having access to poison moves instead of the dark moves off of Incineroar.
Strangely enough, I would think that Salazzle would be decent against Tapu Lele. For sure.
Yeah, Salazzle is pretty good against Tapu Lele. Tapu Lele does stop your Fake Out, which is a bit of a problem for you because that means you don't get to stop one move out of a Pokemon of your choice. However, Salazzle is a much faster Pokemon than Tapu Lele, so it will be able to go first, and it has access to Sludge Bomb, which will deal a large amount of damage, taking out most Tapu Lele.
Well, I've been waiting a long time for this moment, so let's get into round 1. Good luck, guys.
And we're going to see what they lead. I'm expecting a lead. I'm expecting out of Gio that we're going to see a standard Clefairy lead. And we're going to see how Corey's going to react to this, bringing his Kartana and Tapu Lele, while Gio sends out Whimsicott and Eevee.
Now, we do know that... Oh, that's a beautiful shiny Eevee, by the way. We know Tapu Lele is going to bring the Psychic Surge and the Psychic Terrain out, and this will stop priority moves, however, only if they target a grounded Pokemon. Isn't that correct?
Yes, it will. However, all Pokemon on the stage right now are technically considered grounded, despite Tapu Lele and Kartana floating up in the air like that.
Right, yes.
Don't let the looks fool you. They aren't flying type. They do not have the ability to levitate, so they will both be considered grounded Pokemon. And this actually can be pretty disruptive for Whimsicott, who usually relies on the Prankster ability to get priority on its moves and go first.
We see Eevee go for a Detect, which protects it for 1 turn, and then Whimsicott goes for the priority move in Tailwind, which does not target anyone, so it is able to go off Prankster.
Right. Gio's just trying to play it safe, protect his Eevee here. Kartana's a very big threat, deals a lot of damage to Eevee, and as we can see. But Corey reads right through that Detect, doubling into the Whimsicott with a Dazzling Gleam that would hit both Pokemon, and a Smart Strike to take out that Whimsicott, bringing him to an early 4-3 lead. Also getting a Beast Boost, raising the Kartana's damage, making it do a bit more.
I find that Kartana is difficult to deal with by itself, but when it has the Beast Boost, it becomes out of hand very quickly.
Yeah. But the Tailwind notably will make Eevee faster than both of Corey's Pokemon, meaning its Extreme Evo Boost will be the first move that goes off, letting it boost its defense, doubling it. Hopefully letting it take those Kartana and Tapu Lele's moves if you're in Geo's position.
And Salazzle seems to have a decent matchup against Kartana or Lele. It could attack into either Pokemon very hard.
Yeah, Salazzle does hit both of those Pokemon hard with super effective moves on both. It is capable of one-hitting most Tapu Leles and most Kartanas. And with that Tailwind, it should definitely be going first, if it wasn't already, because of its naturally high speed.
We see a switch from Corey, and it goes into the Garchomp. I imagine this is a prediction for the possible poison move.
Yeah, that seems very likely, but Giovanni reads right through it, goes for the Flamethrower into Kartana, dealing massive amounts of damage, taking it out.
No! Focus Sash. That Pokemon is KO'd.
Yeah, and Geo now goes for the Z move, going for that Extreme Evo boost, getting those necessary stats onto the Eevee, making it a real threat to be reckoned with.
You know, not only is this animation beautiful, it'll give me a moment to say, what a great turn 2 by Geo.
Yeah.
After having his Whimsicott doubled into and Corey making the correct prediction, he really turned this around in one turn.
Yeah. As I said, Geo's a great player, and he's been playing this team for a long time, so he knows what the biggest threats to him are, and he just made the read. He also actually saw that Corey's Tapu Lele went before his Kartana, which is kind of unusual, meaning Corey's either running a very slow Kartana or a Choice Scarf Tapu Lele.
I would tend to believe the latter is more likely.
Yeah, the latter is the more common case, but Giovanni, knowing that, probably knows that the Dazzling Gleam isn't as big of a threat to his Eevee as a move out of the Kartana.
Very clever. So he understood that he was locked into the Dazzling Gleam. Yeah. I understand, and because of the Tailwind, Eevee would easily be able to survive.
Yeah. And now we see Aerodactyl coming in from Corey. This is kind of a niche Pokemon that he's been toying with. Aerodactyl is interesting because it does have Tailwind and Skydrop as its most common moves. Skydrop being able to take a Pokemon out of the game for a bit, maybe being able to target down that Eevee and give himself a better scenario.
With the Tailwind up, though, Aerodactyl is known for being a very fast Pokemon. I do believe both of these Pokemon may still outspeed Aerodactyl.
Yeah, that is very likely. Aerodactyl can't set up his own Tailwind, though, to even out those speeds and put himself in a better position. Salazzle still will probably be the fastest Pokemon on the field, but it'll make the Eevee, or now the Crocodile, which Yvaton passed to, a lot less of a threat.
And you were just telling this before the match start, that Crocodile is a very popular baton pass target.
Yeah, Crocodile's a popular baton pass target just because of its power trip, dealing so much massive damage to almost everything. Corey, however, doesn't seem that worried about this baton pass, going for a Swords Dance with his Garchomp, and a Whirlwind out of the Aerodactyl, swapping out that Crocodile one more time, sending Eevee back in, but unfortunately removing all those stat boosts.
That was a very impressive play. I have not seen Whirlwind Aerodactyl since I've been playing this format. Have you ever seen that before?
No, yeah, Aerodactyl's rare enough as it is. Seeing Whirlwind on it, a move that makes it go much later because of its negative priority, where Aerodactyl usually relies on being a fast Pokemon, is very uncommon. So Geo probably didn't see that coming and now has to figure out what he's going to do.
However, he now has it locked and loaded, and game 2 or even possibly game 3, if it goes that far, he will know that.
Yeah. This also does give him the upside of being able to send in Crocodile a second time, getting an Intimidate again, reducing the attack of Garchomp and Aerodactyl even more, making Aerodactyl not do very much damage with this normally powerful Rock Slide, and reducing the Swords Dance from Garchomp to basically nothing.
Now, I do believe that this Earthquake will easily KO the Salazzle, who's a very frail Pokemon, but the Crocodile is going to stick around. Yep. After the Swords Dance, like we had said, Garchomp is at neutral attack right now. Interestingly enough, Aerodactyl is poisoned. We'll have to see if that, comes into play here.
Yeah, I could see the poison actually being a win con for Giovanni looking at this match. Because if we look at it, the only real threat on this board is the Garchomp because of the Aerodactyl's greatly reduced attack. He might just decide to let this poison wait out the Aerodactyl rather than trying to deal with it at all.
If you have an Eevee in play and you also don't have the stat boost from the Evo boost, what is your play right now? What can you do?
So Eevee's common slots in its last move will either be something like Quick Attack, which will let it do some chip damage, or Helping Hand to greatly boost the damage of its partner. We can see looking at Geo that he opts for the quick attack, finding Focus Sash is a much bigger problem for his team. And we can see Corey going for the Ground EMZ move off his Garchomp, powering up that Earthquake into a Z move.
Most likely going into the Crocodile slot, who I believe would be the main threat right now. But we'll see what Corey decides to do. And yes.
And he does go hit that Crocodile. I can't see Crocodile living through this after the damage it took off that last Earthquake.
Yes, it's already half health.
And that takes Crocodile out, leaving Giovanni with a sad little Eevee left. Unfortunately, as powerful as Eevee can be, him being the last Pokemon on your board is really not the position you want to be in when you're Geo.
Absolutely. Now, this was a very quick game. Turn 1, I would say Corey made wonderful plays. Turn 2, Geo quickly turned it around. And then, of course, the tech one to the Whirlwind from Aerodactyl. I believe that was the play that sealed the game.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the Whirlwind, I would have clearly put the game in Geo's favor. +2 attacks and stuff from Crocodile are just so powerful and could easily mess with everything that Corey has going on, taking them out one by one. But now he doesn't have to worry about that at all because of that Whirlwind. Geo opting to forfeit the match, seeing that he probably doesn't have much of a chance with his sole Eevee left. Now having to figure out how he's going to deal with that Aerodactyl for his game 2.
It seems to be very difficult. Do you think he has any Pokemon on his team that could potentially deal with the Whirlwind, or is this the time where you decide to possibly go to a backup plan?
So I think Geo's actually in a very good place for dealing with the Whirlwind because he has Tapu Fini, which he didn't bring into this match. Tapu Fini's Scald is able to basically one-hit almost every Aerodactyl, and seeing that Corey has a Focus Sash means that it won't be bulky, so it will take that Aerodactyl down to 1 health, have a chance to get a burn, which could just end it.
Yeah,
he also has Psych Up on that Tapu Fini, which gives him the option to copy the boost from his Eevee, meaning that even if he Whirlwinds the Eevee away, he still has the boost on the Tapu Fini.
Interesting.
And I doubt that Corey can Whirlwind fast enough to deal with the boost on 2 different Pokemon.
Since I'm not the most experienced Eevee player, I didn't see the benefit too much from the Tailwind that Geo had in Game 1. Now, obviously, that was because of the unpredictable Whirlwind from Aerodactyl. However, do you think that Geo is going to go for a similar strategy and use Tailwind again, or do you think he's going to change it?
So, the Tailwind was specifically for the very second turn of the game, letting him Extreme Evo Boost before Kartana had a chance to go for any moves. Which is very important because that Kartana, after getting an attack boost with no Friend Guard there from the Clefairy, would be able to take out that Eevee pretty handedly.
He knew that since the Whirlwind or Tailwind made him faster, that's why he got the +2 in all his stats and was able to live. Very clever.
he did need that Tailwind for that specific matchup. So but I could see him going with a different sort of lead just to try and get ahead of Corey.
Let's see what Geo has in his striped button-up shirt, throwing out his Pokeballs, and he leads another shiny Eevee and Clefairy.
The most classic lead for this kind of team. And Corey just goes straight for the Aerodactyl and the Garchomp, knowing that he can threaten a Whirlwind right off the bat. However, Clefairy does have Follow Me, which lets it redirect moves towards it, which could let it save Eevee from an untimely wind.
Now, I don't know this damage calculation at all, but I'd imagine that Clefairy could survive a Ground EMZ from a Garchomp. I would imagine not by much, but I'm just thinking.
Yeah, there's a lot of variables in play here, depending on how Geo weighted the physical defense versus special defense on his Clefairy. So it really depends on the scenario. Definitely after an Intimidate that he could be using with something like Crocodile, it should be able to survive, but beforehand, there's a lot of options.
We see a Switch and a Detect. Geo, after losing Game 1, choose to play very defensive on Game 2.
And Corey, reading that defensive play right through, going for a Tailwind with his Aerodactyl, and a Swords Dance with the Garchomp, setting up 2 different things, making this Garchomp have double attack, double speed, being a very potent threat that Geo might not be able to deal with.
We know that Whimsicott can potentially set up the Tailwind here. However, Eevee is not Evo boosted.
Yeah. Looking at it, the main thing that Whimsicott does threaten here is it does threaten the option to Encore Garchomp into something like that Swords Dance, making it unable to attack for 4 more turns, which could give Geo the time that he needs to go on, and we see that Encore coming out into the Garchomp.
Excellent prediction. Very nicely done, and I think that's a great play by Geo. Encore is a move that is extremely devastating to anyone from above average down to below average skill. Encore can win a game by itself. However,
the fun thing is that Z moves ignore Encore, and because Corey chose to go for the Tectonic Rage, his Garchomp will still be able to Tectonic Rage this turn and hit that Clefairy very hard. We were talking before about whether or not the Clefairy might live. After +2, it has no chance.
No chance at all. And that was a very clever play by Corey. I'd have to imagine that Corey saw the Encore option coming from Whimsicott in order to lock himself into a Z move on that turn.
That seems likely. But now Geo has his Eevee back in, and this is probably his last chance to set up Evo Boost, being down to 3 Pokemon again.
Yes.
Garchomp, as we can see, only can use Swords Dance, though, and Aerodactyl is up in the air, sky-dropping that Whimsicott. So Eevee does have free reign to use its Extreme Evo Boost, possibly getting Geo back in the game. He just needs one Baton Pass away.
And I have to give it up to Geo's resilience, because Corey is making amazing plays in this game, too. Very good. But somehow Geo still is sticking around.
And we see Corey switching out to the Tapu Lele, stopping the priority moves from Whimsicott if it survives this Sky Drop, and getting his Garchomp out of there, knowing that he can't do much while being encored into Swords Dance. Sky Drop comes out, gets a critical hit, which
Geo
I'm not sure if that matters. I don't know the calcs, but Geo is very frustrated.
Yeah, he does not like the critical hit there.
I'm thinking it can survive that normally.
Yes.
Eevee, though, is going to get off the Extreme Evo Boost. However, as Geo just lost his last Pokemon, he can't Baton Pass because there is nothing in the back for him. So he is going to have to rely on the +2 from the Eevee itself, trying to hit hard with those quick attacks and later the last resort that is necessary for Extreme Evo Boost.
And we apologize for the graphics on the screen. They appear to be a little bit wrong. However, do we know Geo's last Pokemon on his team?
No, we haven't seen it yet, but I can't imagine it being anything other than that Crocodile. Because
Understood.
It's just super powerful.
I was hoping that maybe he had the Finny, like you said, which can potentially run Psych Up to copy the boost.
Yeah,
however,
that would be... If he made a read to go into that, he still has a good chance. Also, Whirlwind does not affect his Pokemon anymore because he has nothing in the back.
Yes.
But unfortunately, it is the Crocodile, so he doesn't have that as a backup plan.
It'll be interesting to see how a world-class player like Geo tries to find himself out of this situation. Nothing is impossible in Pokemon, especially after your +2 and all your stats with Eevee.
Yeah. I think his play here is he has to find a way to get rid of the Tapu Lele, but Geo accepts that he probably doesn't have a chance and is just going to forfeit the game. Losing this match, and round 1 going to Corey Eismeyer. As I said, that was a very close match, and if it weren't for some surprise tech from Corey, it could have easily gone the other way.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that Geo played wonderfully. I don't think that he could play around what he did not know. And that just goes to show you that sometimes tech really does work out in your favor. And in this particular match, running an Aerodactyl with Whirlwind seemed to be...
the key to victory.
Yeah, the key to victory on Game 1, certainly. Now, I am going to get up, friends, and I am going to leave you with Sean, and I am going to grab Corey for an interview. So please hang tight, and we will hear Corey's thoughts on round 1.
Corey, I have to ask you, going into that match, knowing Geo's caliber of a player, knowing that he top cut Worlds last year, were you a bit nervous?
Not really, to be completely honest. My team is teched for Eevee Mincy, so I knew if I just played the Whirlwind correctly that I would stand a pretty good chance. I know he's a tricky player, though, so I wouldn't say I was nervous, but I was a bit uneasy about where to bring Aerodactyl. So I had to bring it in the back, and I'm not used to that.
Yeah, understandably. That Aerodactyl actually did a lot of work with that Whirlwind. What made you decide to put that Whirlwind in? Because that doesn't seem to be as standard compared to other teams.
Last week before Virginia Regionals, I was looking for something to help me with my speed control issue. I had Faramosa in that slot on this team, and my friend Eugene Tarleton, he actually top cut Dallas, I believe, top 16. He told me, "What, you don't need Protect, bro. Just do Aerodactyl and Whirlwind things out." Whirlwind's the play, and I think it proved itself right there.
Yeah, for
Whirlwind
sure.
should be standard on Aerodactyl.
Yeah, understandably so. That definitely was the match decider in the first game of that series. Also looking at it, you have some other spicy stuff here, which I'm not going to spoil unless you want to right here. Do you want to plug in anything that you're doing interesting, or do you want to just leave them as secrets going forward?
I mean, I think it's obvious that I had a Choice Scarf Lele there, and that Lele was Wikiberry last week, and it was incredibly underwhelming. It only popped twice.
Right.
And honestly, I needed a Faramosa answer. Round 1 last week, I was in a completely different situation from where I'm at right now. I faced Encore Togedemaru and Disable Ninetales from a buddy of mine.
Oh, boy.
That was a spicy meme, so I had to top him and get spicier. So that and top. I dropped Guillotine on Kartana. I didn't get to use it on stream.
Yep.
If I hadn't crit that Sky Drop, which, by the way, Gio and I calced that definitely did matter.
Yeah, he was shaking his head real hard. I was pretty sure that he knew that calc.
And I'm pretty sure you guys saw, like,
yeah.
I feel bad. I apologize to him. Like, most of the time, I'm the type of person who won't apologize for luck.
Yeah, luck's just part of the game. It's
a game we play.
It's unfortunate sometimes, but
I mean, I'm really excited to win my first regional stream match, but that second game, I was just thinking, not like this, like this.
Understandably so. Looking at your team, looking around at other teams you've seen, what's kind of your favorite matchup to play with this team?
Oh, Ducks. By far, Ducks. Ducks is an auto win for me.
Okay.
If I see Ducks on the other person's team, I start thinking about where I'm going to go get food after the round.
Okay. Well, anyone else anything you want to shout out to, because while you're on stream, you just won your match, you won your round 1.
I want to give a shout out to Pokemon VGC University on Facebook. That's my VGC group. If you guys want to join that, that's cool. Shout out to my mom. Happy Mother's Day. Thank you for being cool with me being up in Canada for this and not being home with you on Mother's Day. And shout out to Eugene Tarleton and Eduardo Kuhnhoff for helping me build the team.
Okay, awesome. Well, Corey, good luck in your future matches.
Thank you very much. You have a good one.
Doing well.